the Y on the mountain just north of it. You can see either there's a lot of wind blowing from the west or the northwest down there at Mosaida, or somebody's doing plowing or something, but there's a lot of dust up in the air there, just there at the horizon. Coming on around, there was a ditch fire or something out just over here. That's a rock quarry you can see there, sort of see there. We're going up the west side of the lake, Saratoga Springs. Saratoga Springs Temple is over there somewhere. I can't see it now. It was much more visible earlier. Lehigh, I guess Eagle Mountain's over there somewhere. The north end of the lake, and we're looking at American Fork, Highland, and Alpine. Coming back around here. The wind has come around from the east now instead of from the southeast. So I've had to let the sail out. The jib's misbehaving, unfortunately. I'm not able to do much with it. In fact, at this point, I can't even get it to furl. That's to roll back up, unfortunately. Let me see if I can find your comments here. I'm not seeing any comments. Well, I don't have any viewers right now, so I guess that makes sense. There's a helicopter just passed overhead. I don't know who it is, where it is, can't see it well enough. The overcast and sitting still in the cockpit of a boat, I've had to put on a jacket. But that's not a big deal. It's still wonderful weather for sailing for December, not January yet. That's a month away. But my goodness, it's over 50 degrees Fahrenheit out here in December. About a week away from Christmas. A little more than that, maybe, I guess. 10 days, whatever. 9 days. I know, the kids will all know. They'll tell us how long till Christmas. Obviously, I'm not paying that close of attention. But it's just amazing weather. I can't believe this. It's way too warm. No snow yet, no ice. I tightened up the boom thing a bit. That's the piece going from here down. This piece is the boom thing. It holds the boom down against the force of the wind against the sail. For those of you that don't sail. Message retracted. Okay. Well, good to see you joining us. Go ahead and ask questions if you want. I'd be glad to answer best I can. That's a lot of dust being blown up from the Mosaida area out there over Goshen Bay. We got storm clouds coming in here, but that stuff's not supposed to get really ugly until about 5 p.m. and I had better be off the lake by then. I fully expect to be off the lake well before then. Okay, back around here. So I'm sailing on Utah Lake. That's in Utah Valley, about 40 minutes south of Salt Lake City, Utah, out in the Intermountain West of the United States, in case you're not familiar. Welcome, joining the live stream here. Just taking a look around the valley here. Utah Lake sits in the middle of Utah Valley. That's the west side of the lake. Broadcast Mountain or something like that. Saratoga Springs there. There you can see Saratoga Springs Temple, perhaps. Very light white building out there with the dark shadow behind it. Maybe you can't. I can't see it on the screen, but I've got a tiny screen. That's Lehigh, the north end of the valley. I'm sailing south. There's American Fork coming on around. We got Pleasant Grove and Lindon. where I left from. I left from the power plant. You can see right there on the two stacks. You can see there, and that's coming on around Orem. That's Provo Canyon right there. You can kind of see the lake level, the top edge of the houses along the edge of the lake is the old lake level for Lake Bonneville. Yes, I have tried catamarans. I love sailing catamarans. In fact, I bought plans for a Woods Sango. That's Woods is a catamaran designer, and the Sango is a 25-foot catamaran that you can fold the hulls under the bridge deck and trailer behind a small car. Thank you, Maria. I think it's pretty beautiful out here today too. I'm totally amazed we've got such warm weather today. This is crazy. Funny story, I came on the boat today to sail out of the Lindon boat harbor, and there was a mink running around in the cabin, down there in the cabin. I had to chase it off. About 30 years ago, and before that, we used to have quite a few mink farms up there in American Fork and in Lindon and even in Orem. But they've all been gone for quite a while, but apparently some of the mink escaped and are managing to live feral around here. So I'm sailing from the Lindon boat harbor down to Provo, the Utah Lake State Park, the Provo boat harbor, so we can pull the boat out for the season. But I'm looking at this weather going, why are we taking the boat out? This is just amazing. Yes, lasers are awesome. I've sailed, one of my friends here has a fleet of sunfish, so a little simpler than the laser, and I've sailed on those a lot. I had a couple of lasers I bought from the local Boy Scouts, but the Boy Scouts had pretty well destroyed them. I ended up salvaging some parts off and keeping the trailer. That same friend has some Force 5s and butterflies, and I'm thinking I'll try to get out on one of those on December 21st for the solstice. This is a Catalina 27, so it's a 27-foot sailboat. You can see my bright work is in kind of poor shape. The varnish is peeling off. We'll be doing a lot of work to pretty her up over the winter. This is a large enough boat that I know people that have lived aboard them. I would consider it way too small to live aboard. I've even heard there's a guy crossing the Pacific on one, which I think is really kind of insane. But hey, whatever. So I'm sailing a Catalina 27 from the Lindon boat harbor down to the Provo boat harbor at Utah Lake State Park. I am on Utah Lake in Utah County, about 40 minutes south of Salt Lake City in the state of Utah, United States. I'm wondering if that might be fields being burned and smoke from those fields and not dust from agriculture. I'm catching smoke on the wind right now. I can smell it. I've sailed a hunter, took a group of Sea Scouts down to Galveston Bay in Texas and sailed on a hunter for 3 days with that bunch of Sea Scouts. It was a very nice boat. There aren't very many here in Utah, but I've seen a few. The Catalina and the O'Day are the two most popular brands. The O'Day 25 is a really popular boat here. Utah Lake is really shallow. You can see my depth gauge showing 9 feet. It's actually closer to 10.5. I know the depth gauge is off by a bit. But it's a really shallow lake. I have about a 4-foot draft with this boat. That's how deep underwater it goes. And Hunters are need more like 5 or 6 feet deep, sometimes even more than that. But this is a Catalina 27 with a short keel. It's got the same weight, but it's almost a bulb keel instead of the longer fin keel. So it makes it a better boat for Utah Lake here. The boat I've sailed most here on Utah Lake over the last 15 years or so is a Catalina 22. And that boat is really easy to, with a swing keel, that boat's really easy to sail. Quillards, that's interesting. I did not know that. Yes, this is a keel boat. The Catalina 22 is also a keel boat. The O'Day 25s that are really popular here, they are also a keel boat, but they have a very shallow keel. It's a, excuse me, it's a long, narrow keel. And that works great if you've got high wind and or great shape to your sails. But if your sails are getting old and getting stretched out, those things are terrible trying to sail on anything but a reach or a run. What part of Canada is Memphremagog? I'm sorry, I'm sure I'm mispronouncing that. This is one of the largest lakes in the western United States. It is a natural lake, not a reservoir. And I'm thinking it's close to 20 miles long and about 2 miles wide, maybe 3 at the widest. That smoke down there on the horizon, smoke or dust on the horizon, is Goshen Bay. That's the shallowest part. I've never sailed into it because it's too shallow. Quebec, oh, okay. Very cool. Thanks for joining, by the way. This is just amazing weather. The sun coming through the clouds is gorgeous. There, I'm able to pick up some of that. I have a friend that lives in Toronto and another that lives in Windsor. Windsor's funny, south of Detroit, but it's Canada. So there is the Y on the mountain. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. There's a big Y painted on the mountain for BYU, Brigham Young University. Hey Jacob, good to see you. How are you doing? You recognize this real well, I'm sure. So I'm just sailing this boat. It's a Catalina 27. I've mentioned that a few times, but people keep coming and going, so I'll keep mentioning it. It's a Catalina 27, so it's a 27-foot sailboat. It's a keel boat. I'm sailing from Lindon Boat Harbor, which is back there. Don't know if you can really see it, but there's a power plant back there. I'm sailing from there. It's right by the power plant. Down here to Utah Lake State Park, which is in Provo, and it's about due east of that Y on the mountain. Jacob, I got to get you out here on this boat, maybe next summer. And when I'm not paying attention and the wind starts shifting, and it's really shifted a lot, then my sail starts flapping. I can trim the sail in, I'll do that, and then I can get on a better angle. So the wind has shifted more to the south from the east. So I need to sheet the sail in, and then I can turn and point sail further upwind. So there you go. You can see the wind is now coming about 30 degrees off my port bow. That's about as close as I dare sail to the wind. If I were to sail straight on past Provo Boat Harbor, I would get down to Bird Island eventually. That's down there pretty much dead ahead of me, but I'm not going to be sailing that far. If you look carefully, that is Spanish Fork Canyon I'm aiming the camera at. You can see the wind turbines there at the mouth of the canyon. Capsized, tipping over in a sailboat. That's capsizing. Yes, I have. Not in a keel boat, but I have capsized lasers and El Toros. In fact, I learned to sail in an El Toro. That's a little 9-foot sailboat. Most recently, I capsized a 12-foot Capri. Maybe it was a 16. I don't remember. Anyway, that was the last time my wife went sailing with me. No, it's not because I capsized the boat. She's was okay with that. I mean, didn't enjoy it, but okay with the capsize. But she doesn't like to sail. Just doesn't like to sail, so she doesn't sail with me. Here on Utah Lake, we get some gusts that can be strong enough, certainly, to capsize boats. That's where I was sailing the Capri when it capsized. I was just outside the harbor at Utah Lake State Park here when I capsized that boat. I have had a Catalina 22 with the rail in the water, so turn the camera back around. This edge of the boat is called the rail. Well, in this context, that's the rail. Both sides of the boat. We were out off of other side of the lake. Anyway, a big gust came up. We had full sail up there. That's the full sail. That's the full main. The jib is there with the red on it, and I've just barely got a little bit of jib out. But on that day, we had the Catalina 22 out with the full jib and the mainsail up, and we had it heeled over into the water. Sailing with a spinnaker, I've done that once. We are looking to put a spinnaker on this boat, and then I'll be sailing with a spinnaker next summer, and that will be so much fun. Unfortunately, I haven't had a lot of experience yet with it, but I'm looking forward to it. A spinnaker's a really good sail to have here on Utah Lake. We tend to have a lot of really light wind, so you can put that big kite up and really catch some air and move a little bit better on those really light wind days. The wind is picking up right now. I'm starting to heel a little bit and move a little bit faster. I don't know if you can hear the water flowing over the hull. Let's see if I can. Put the camera off the stern and hear it washing over the outboard. I really should lift the outboard, but we need a new motor mount. This one doesn't lift very well. Have you sailed much, Kills? You sound fairly familiar with the terminology and everything. Okay, we're asking about this specific boat. I'm sorry I missed that earlier. No, I've never even had a rail in the water with this boat. Back in July, I was came out and started sailing with about 5-mile-an-hour winds, and they ramped up to 20, gusting to 35 while I was out, and we just brought in the sails and motored in. It wasn't a big deal. I've learned enough more that I'd be happy to try sailing in that now, but I would certainly put a reef in the main and in the jib. So what boat were you on using a spinnaker at sailing camp? I've seen people steering without using the rudder. I've seen people doing roll tacks, but I have never tried that yet. Maybe that's something I should put on my list to try next summer. So there's the Orem Temple. It is north of the Y and a whole lot closer. 420, awesome boats. Those things are fast. That's an awful lot to handle. I had opportunity to poke around a 470 once, the bigger brother to the 420. There are so many sheets and lines on that, it would take me a summer just to figure out what each one does. I suppose it'd go easier if I had somebody that knew how to sail it and I was crewing for them. Those are fast boats. I don't know if those are still an Olympic boat or not. The guy that's going to meet me down here at Utah Lake State Park has several stars. He's got the largest fleet of star sailboats west of the Mississippi. He's hoping to get them going here on the lake with people sailing them regularly. Yeah, that's what I need, is an instructor that really knows them to help teach me to sail that. The Force 5 is a nice step between the laser and the 420 or 470. I'm too close to the wind. You heard the sails starting to flap. I need to pay more attention to my sail trim than... Well, wind is shifting again. That's one thing you can be sure of on Utah Lake. The wind will change. I was out here sailing a few years back in the harbor at Provo, and within a 1 hour time, the wind did a full 360. It was kind of crazy. It's not usually that bad. Yes, Light Game Studios, you are absolutely correct. That is one of the top priorities for this winter, is to get the bright work cleaned up and looking better. The tiller's an equally bad example of... I only started sailing on this boat last fall, and my priority this summer was to sail and not to do boat maintenance. But this winter, the priority is to get the boat maintenance done. Because you're absolutely right, it looks pretty bad. I sailed so much this summer. I was out at least once a week, probably twice a week most of the summer. And that was fantastic. I share this boat right now with 3 other guys. We're adding, well, I'm sailing with the Utah Lake Yacht Club. We're adding another boat for next summer. So if you're in Utah, in Provo-Orem area, and you want to sail but don't own a boat, message me about joining the Yacht Club. Let me get my camera back up here. Sorry about the camera work. This is just amazing weather today. I couldn't ask for better weather. I've sailed twice a week most of the summer, but yeah, I know for some people, if you're not sailing at least twice a day, that's not sailing. But for me, that was pretty good. I also spent 2 days a week working down at the Provo Pioneer Village doing woodworking and blacksmithing, and that was a lot of fun. I thought it was an amazing summer. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And I'm looking forward to sailing probably once or twice a week next summer as well. Man. Well, I wish I were living aboard. That for me would be living the dream, but this is close enough. My wife does not like to sail. She does not like to be on boats. She gets seasick and doesn't like deep water, which Utah Lake's okay. You can see here, I've only got 9 feet of water. So I've probably got about 10 and a half feet of water under the, well, from the water line down right now. Oh, the wind's shifting again. So this is the main sheet. It goes up to the boom, and I'm sheeting in, which is pulling the boom in. Those of you that have already sailed, you know exactly what I'm doing, and you know why. But those of you that haven't, that moves the boom in so I'm closer to the wind. I might need to tack, actually. That wind is really coming around from the south. It's a beautiful day out. I've got a, the engine it's an old outboard. It's a Yamaha. Yeah, it's an old Yamaha outboard from 1987. I was trying to rebuild the carburetor or replace the carburetor or anything to get it to work a little better. this year, and I can't even get parts for it. So we're replacing it. I think it's a Mercury 9.9 we're going to be having on it next year. We'll put a brand new Mercury 9.9 and probably a new motor mount that we can lift up out of the water more easily too. Let me see if I can get this one to come up. Well, it's a little bit further out of the water, but the prop is still in. It matters much. Some of these came with inboard engines. It's a Catalina 27, so it's not a very big boat. It's a keel boat. It's a boat, but it's not a ship. Some of them came with inboard engines. Some of them had 4, which is a gas engine. Some of them had 2-cylinder diesels, I think Yanmars, but I'm not sure. Yeah, this boat's big enough. You can't get a whole lot big on Utah Lake without running into issues as to how late in the season you can sail. The lake is natural and it's shallow, so as the summer progresses, the water gets lower. And on a bigger boat, you just tend to draft too much. On the west coast of Florida, there's some manufacturers that make lifting keel boats, which and all the way up to like 40 or 50 feet, that with the keel up will draft 18 inches. And I keep thinking, man, that would be the boat to have here, because that's, you know, a 40-foot boat you can easily live aboard. And with the lifting keel, I could easily manage the shallow lake, put down as much keel as I can and lift it up when I'm getting into a shallower area. I don't know that we're going to bother keeping this old engine. As I said earlier, I can't get parts. I cannot rebuild the carburetor, and right now it won't stay idling. I have to keep. I've got the fuel line here, so I can keep pumping the fuel bulb, because it won't stay running if I don't. So it's something in the carburetor or the fuel pump, but I can't get either parts. Well, Light Game Studios, I wish I could. I can't from here. This is kind of a funny thing. Utah Lake and the Great Salt Lake are the remains of Lake Bonneville. There's another lake further south, Lake Sevier, that are the remains of Lake Bonneville, which didn't drain to the sea until it got high enough that it peaked over Red Rock Pass and flowed out the Snake River Gorge. And then when that flow got, when the lake water lowered enough, it quit that. And the Great Salt Lake is all the salt that was left as it's traded down here. It probably is the diaphragm. I wish I could find parts, but I can't. And I can't, the rings need to be done on the end. It's clapped out. It's just shot. It needs to have the rings done. The whole thing needs to be rebuilt. But like I said, no parts. I can't find a used, I can't even find a used carburetor. Okay, so explain what? What aren't you, what am I not explaining clearly enough? I'd like to do a better job. Oh, okay, it's time to tack. Okay, this is Utah Lake. This is in Utah, the state of Utah in the United States. It's just south of Salt Lake City. So if you look that up on Google Maps, hang on, we're going to put y'all down. Okay. It's just south of Salt Lake City. I've never played GTA. So I don't know what places it's got in it, but it could be. So I am almost in irons. That's when I'm pointing straight into the wind. Well, you can see from the wind gauge, I'm not actually, but I really need to come across. Getting there. There we go. So I'm going to tack in towards shore for a bit, and then I'll sail in towards shore here for a bit, but I've got to go further south, so I'm going to have to tack back out in a minute. The interior's not bad. Not bad at all. The cushions here in the cabin are new, but if you look further up there to the V-berth, that's the original upholstery. That lovely brown and orange plaid. Sorry about that. I don't know if I was going to try to see if I could set up a tripod, but I don't know that would really help much. We need to replace the curtains on the interior, but most of it's in pretty good shape. Oh, there we go. That sun coming down is just awesome. And it's warming me up. I'm going to have to take my jacket off in a minute. Yeah, well, the shelf of oil, just have to keep the motor lubricated so it doesn't die totally before we get the new one. Okay. This is just amazing weather. Wind's picking up, starting to heel over. See there? All right, I'm going to come about again. I don't want to be sailing this fast towards the shallows. Looks like that might be a dead seagull out there. That's unfortunate. Oh. Okay. There, the tack is complete and the sail's filled on the new tack. But the jib is not. I haven't brought the jib over yet. Okay, there's the jib on the new tack. I am heeling to starboard now. I need to sheet in my jib a little bit more. I was going to port, but I came about to a new tack. Hang on a minute. Okay, there we go. That's sealing over well. Well, the wind's picked up to 16 knots. There we go. I don't have great shape in the main, but it's not. Come on. Come on. That's a little better. The wind just keeps moving further south. Ooh. Shipping, you wouldn't want to pay the shipping on it. It's too heavy and no parts. I even thought about trying to find a different carburetor and 3D printing an adapter plate and all of that, but the linkage wouldn't hook up very well. It'd be a pain. It is a shame. I really wish I could get the parts and could keep it running. All right, I'm gonna bring the Traveler. Okay. Hey Darren, how are you doing? This outboard that I can't save, it's the one of the first outboards that has one of the early outboards with emissions control requirements, and so it's got all kinds of funky weird bits and pieces off the carburetor, and that's part of the problem, I'm sure. Good to see you, Darren. I'm heading your direction. I'll not get there, of course, but I'm sailing south out of the Lindon boat harbor for Provo. We're going to pull the boat out today. And I might need to put the phone down and put a reef in the main. That line of grommets you can see coming across the main, there's two lines of grommets. I can pull a sheet and bring the main down, shorten it. There's not much I can do about it. That's a little better. Really starting to heal now, maybe 10 degrees. Yes, Taryn, we'll have to try to get out sailing next summer. It's been a pretty beautiful sail up until, well, I'm at 19 knots of wind now, 18.9, 19, and that's getting, the wind's picking up, changing direction, getting a little bit squirrely. That top batten doesn't look right. And my sail shape is terrible. That's a little better. Well, I'm going to stop this stream and put all my attention on the sailing. With the wind picking up like it is, I think that's the wisest course. It's a pretty big lake. You can find the Wikipedia more about it. It's what's left of, it's part of what's left of the Great Lake Bonneville. Again, another Wikipedia entry you can look at. Take it easy, guys. We'll talk to you later.